Today we're going to be talking about God in the dry season and the coming rain. I believe that God wants to provide for you in your dry season. I think sometimes when you're going through life and you're going through all this turmoil and these trials and these tribulations, I believe God is always there, and sometimes we just don't see it. We don't see that God's there during those times that seem so dry in our lives, those dry seasons. We're going to be in 1 Kings chapter 17 today, and for time's sake, we're not going to read the whole chapter, but we're just going to start with verse 1. And it says, "And Elijah the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead said to Ahab, As the Lord of God Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, except at my word. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Get away from here and turn eastward and hide by the brook of Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. And it will be that you shall drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there." Verse 5. "So he went and did according to the word of the Lord, for he went and stayed by the brook of Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening. And he drank from the brook." Verse 7, "And it happened after a while that the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying," I believe more now than ever in your life, you need to hear a word from God. In your dry season, and in this time that you're going through, you need to know who God is in your life, and that He's always going to supernaturally provide for you. Look what God did for him there. It said that as soon as he got this word from God, that there was this dry season where there was going to be no rain, that God provided water by that brook, and the ravens fed him in the morning and in the evening. I believe God wants to provide for you just like that. I believe God wants to supernaturally provide for you in your dry season. After that, we see in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 8 through 16, that Elijah meets a widow. And when he meets this widow, he asks her for water. And she goes and gets him water. And as she was running to get the water, Elijah told her, "Also bake me a little cake." And the woman says to him, "Sir, I have nothing to make you. I'm gathering just a little bit of twigs, just some sticks. My son and I, we're just going to eat what I have left, and we're going to die." I feel that that's our mentality sometimes in our dry season, that we're just going to give up. It's over. I have nothing left. I'm just going to give up. But my friends, I believe God wants to provide for you. Just like He did with him, with the ravens, He wants to provide for him that supernatural provision. I believe that we're going to see that here with this widow woman too. Look at verses 14 through 16. It says that, "For thus saith the Lord, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry, until the day of the Lord sends rain on the earth." So she went and did according to the word of Elijah, and she and he and her household ate for many days. The bin of flour was not used up, nor according to the word of the Lord, which He spoke by Elijah. My friends, we need to hear a word from God. And I believe that word is that God is going to take care of you through the dry season. Look what it says. It says that the bin never gave up, the oil never ran dry. I believe that in this time of your dry season that you're going through, God's going to supernaturally provide for you. It's just going to always keep reoccurring, that God's just going to always have that flow, that provision always there in your life. In your dry season, you do not have to go and be completely dry. God will provide for you. Just as we see here with Elijah and the widow, that she had this mentality that was all, she's going to give up, but she heard a word from the Lord, from Elijah, saying that He was going to provide that for her. And the bin didn't run dry. The oil didn't run dry throughout that whole time of that dry season. My friends, I believe today God wants to provide for you. He wants to provide for you more now than He ever has in your life. I remember one time my wife and I, when we were going through a really difficult time, I had lost a job, that I had a guitar, and we had this room where we had to shut the door so my dog wouldn't go in and knock over my guitars. And one of the guitars, from the door being shut, the heat was on, and it made the neck completely bowed to where you would be able to look like a bow and arrow. It actually bowed that much. Now, I only paid $300 for that guitar, but I want to tell you something God did supernaturally for me. I needed money at the time. I went and sold that guitar at a local music store, and I got $250 for it. I want to tell you that that guitar was not worth $250. I'm telling you, the neck was so bowed it was unplayable. But God gave me $250 for that. I want to tell you something else that awesome that happened after that. A week later, a gentleman that I attended church with, his daughter gave him a guitar, brand new, acoustic electric, and it was worth about $500-600. He was left-handed, and the guitar was right-handed. He knew that I played guitar and that it was a right-handed guitar, and he gave it to me. I want to tell you, God wants to provide for you just like that. Supernaturally, out of the blue, God wants to do things just like that for you. We'll go ahead and pick up here tomorrow.